Hey guys, tonight we're heading way, way back, somewhere between myth and memory, past the marble colonnades and into the heart of an ancient rivalry. You're perched on a rocky outcrop, the Acropolis, as warm Aegean breezes stroke your cheeks and cicadas hum sleepy rhythms. Far below, Athens lies quiet, wrapped in indigo twilight. The torches of temple sentries flicker like stars fallen to earth. You're not here as a hero or a scholar or even a mortal, really. Tonight you drift through the bones of legends floating like olive leaves on water. But careful, it's the age of gods and tempers are short. You'll soon find yourself watching divine egos collide, where an olive tree might just mean the fate of an entire city. And honestly, you probably wouldn't survive a week in this divine tug of war. Lightning bolts, petty curses, ocean floods, it's a whole thing. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're watching this from somewhere quiet or somewhere cozy, drop your location and local time in the comments. I always love seeing how far these sleepy stories travel. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your sandals crunch softly against marble as you walk toward the edge of the Acropolis. You're not entirely sure how you got here. Dream logic, maybe. The stone is warm beneath your feet, still holding the last heat of a sun that slipped away hours ago. Wind brushes through your hair, lifting the scent of salt and rosemary. Somewhere nearby, an owl hoots, and you could swear it sounds just a little smug. Behind you stands the skeletal silhouette of an unfinished temple. Scaffolding clings to its sides like ancient ivy, and workmen's tools lie in neat piles, as if their owners might return any moment to finish carving stone gods into life. They won't. This temple, one of the earliest shrines to Athena, hasn't been touched in centuries, but tonight it remembers. You step inside. Dust motes swirl like lazy constellations. A half-carved frieze on the inner wall shows a moment frozen in myth. Two deities facing off, their gifts raised high. It's the moment Athens was born, or rather, the moment it chose a name. According to the oldest tales passed down long before Homer started rhyming, the city needed a patron, something to bind it, define it, protect it. The gods, of course, saw this as a chance for prestige. It was a divine marketing opportunity, and two Olympians showed up with serious pitches: Poseidon, god of the sea and moody beach weather, and Athena, goddess of wisdom, war strategy, and excellent embroidery. The city's early leaders, tribal elders, and priest kings couldn't choose between them, so the gods were told to present a gift. Something useful, something symbolic, something the people would want to brag about in amphoras for centuries. And here's where it gets interesting. You walk back out onto the plateau, and the air feels charged. Time folds in on itself like linen. You're no longer alone. A crowd has gathered, half real, half memory. Athenian citizens wrapped in loose chitons murmur softly. Children squirm on carved benches. And then, the hush. Poseidon arrives first, with flair. He doesn't descend so much as explode from the rock. With a thunderous stomp of his trident, the ground splits. From the fissure, a geyser of seawater erupts, dousing the nearest olive cellar. A shimmering horse, white as sea foam, gallops out of the spray and whinnies dramatically. Poseidon crosses his arms, water dripping from his beard, and waits for applause. There is some, mostly polite. The horse is magnificent, sure, but saltwater in a city that's mostly uphill from the coast. One older woman quietly mutters something about her arthritis and bad weather. Then Athena steps forward. She doesn't shout. No divine thunder, no dramatic waves. She kneels. With calm hands, she presses her fingers into the earth. A low breeze rolls over the plateau, warm and dry. And there, between cracks in the stone, something stirs. A sapling, pale green, slow growing. It shouldn't survive here, but it does. And it grows fast right before your eyes. Leaves unfurl like tiny hands. The air changes. Suddenly, it smells incredible, like crushed green almonds in summer wind. It's an olive tree, small now, but already wise, already permanent. The crowd leans forward. One young boy, nose still running, sneaks a leaf and tastes it. He doesn't love it, but an old potter nearby sniffs the bark, nods, and whispers something about lamp oil. You watch the gods step back. Neither speaks. This is a quiet war. The myths don't agree on every detail. Historians still argue whether this contest was a local myth elevated over time or a symbol of shifting political powers between sea trade and land agriculture, but everyone agrees on this. The olive tree stayed. You reach out now and touch the bark. It's warm, gnarled, and still alive. After thousands of years, they say, the same tree, or a descendant, or just a beautiful lie that stuck. But you don't care, you're tired, and the scent of olives is strangely calming. You sit beneath it, lean your head back, and feel the stone cradle your spine. Above you, the stars wheel slowly. Someone strums a lyre far off. The gods are gone for now, but their egos still echo in the marble. Athena won the contest. But what did that really mean? You'll find out. There's still so much more to see. And the olive tree, it just keeps growing. You're still on the Acropolis, but the air feels different now. Damp, sharp with a tang of salt. The olive tree fades behind you, and with a blink, the stone under your feet is slick, shimmering. You don't remember walking to the other side of the plateau, but here you are near the fissure Poseidon left behind, the one still bubbling faintly like a forgotten kettle on a divine stove. Suddenly it's showtime again. Poseidon is arriving. For real this time, you hear him before you see him. A low seismic rumble, like thunder muffled through sand. The sea itself seems to rise at the edge of your hearing. And then, boom, he's there. A wet glisten of power and ocean mood swings. Towering, muscular, damp, in all the ways that seem impractical for a climate like this. He smells like brine and seaweed, and that mysterious dampness your beach towel never quite dries from. He steps onto the rock with a trident that looks more like an oversized coral sculpture than a weapon. There's a dramatic silence. His eyes, storm cloud gray, scan the people. Then with a single showy motion, he slams the trident down. Crack! The rock beneath him splits again just like before. This time it's louder, more aggressive. Water bursts upward, not a gentle spring, but a ferocious jet of sea foam and bubbles, followed by something truly absurd. A horse. A full-grown stallion, dripping, wild-eyed, and stunning. Its mane tosses sea spray into the air. It whinnies like thunder. One hoof strikes stone, and it echoes like a drumbeat. Poseidon raises an eyebrow. "You're welcome," he doesn't say, but you hear it anyway. The crowd murmurs. The horse is impressive, very. Symbol of speed, strength, battle. Trade routes could open, war chariots would fly. It's undeniably cool. But one man clears his throat. "Saltwater," he says, a little too loudly. Poseidon's eyes flick in his direction and a tiny wave slaps the man's sandals. Just enough to make him shut up. Now let's be fair here, this wasn't Poseidon at his worst. He didn't flood the whole place, though spoiler, he's going to get a little cranky later. In myth, this horse was no mere trick, it was a marvel. An animal never before seen by humans, pulled from the sea and sculpted with divine craftsmanship. In some versions, it's a saltwater spring instead, used for purification rites, or even a geyser said to sing Poseidon's name when the wind hits right. Historians still argue whether the myth reflects sea trade routes clashing with inland farming interests, or if Poseidon's gift was originally favored before Athena's cult grew more influential. Politics wrapped in godly glitter. But back to the show. Poseidon stands tall, arms folded, waiting. His jaw tightens as the crowd's awe doesn't quite shift into admiration. It hovers there, balanced between marvel and confusion. The truth is, saltwater's not that useful when you live on a rocky hill and have to lug amphoras up uneven stairs just to rinse your tunic. As for the horse, beautiful, yes, but also expensive, loud, hard to park. Still, there are murmurs of approval, especially among the young men. You overhear one whisper, "Imagine the races." Another, "Chariots on the plains, unstoppable." Someone else says, "I heard Spartan horses sweat like pigs. This one glistens like a god." You shift uncomfortably. Poseidon notices, he always notices. His expression flickers, disappointment, maybe, or a brewing grudge. And make no mistake, Poseidon is the kind of god who takes rejection very, very personally. The myths paint him in broad strokes. King of the sea, shaker of earth, patron of horses and earthquakes, but there's a pettiness to him that's almost relatable. The sibling who throws a fit when someone else gets more praise, the colleague who accidentally deletes your spreadsheet, you glance down at the fissure again, the water stopped bubbling, the horse has wandered off snorting and leaving little puddles in its wake. Poseidon, he vanishes without fanfare, just a gust of wind, a lingering scent of sea salt, and a feeling like someone kicked over your bucket of sandcastle dreams. The people shuffle uneasily. The performance is over, and while no official judgment has been made, you can already feel the shift. This wasn't the slam dunk Poseidon had hoped for. You sit on a ledge near the fissure and stare at the puddle. It's already drying. Funny how fast water disappears in this climate. You pluck a pebble from the ground and toss it in. No splash, just a faint ripple. Above you, the sky darkens into a deeper blue. Stars blink on and the moon drifts like a polished coin across velvet. The olive tree is still there, far across the plateau, waiting. A breeze lifts your tunic. You close your eyes, and you wonder, if Poseidon had brought fresh water instead, would the whole world look different today? Would Athens have built ships sooner, worshipped more at the shore than in marble halls? Historians debate that too, but mostly they agree that Poseidon was outmaneuvered, not in strength but in subtlety. A warhorse is flashy, but it's the slow, patient gifts that build civilizations. And you're just getting sleepy enough to start choosing sides. You're still sitting on the Acropolis, gazing at the drying fissure when the wind changes direction. It's gentler now, scented with crushed leaves and something faintly floral, like someone has just opened a jar of ancient perfume. You turn your head, and there she is, Athena. No lightning, no entrance music. She's just there, like she always has been. The kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but quietly reorients the entire room, or in this case, the entire sacred plateau. She's not in armor, not yet. Tonight she's in a plain robe, hair gathered in a simple twist. No snakes, no Medusa shields, just quiet dignity and eyes that seem to see all the way to tomorrow. Athena walks past the remnants of Poseidon's performance. She barely glances at the horse. It's now nibbling someone's hymation. Instead, she steps toward the crowd with measured grace. You feel your breath slow to match her pace. The people hush again. The wind holds its breath. She doesn't speak. Instead, she kneels beside the dry soil and places one hand gently on the stone. Her fingers press into a shallow groove. Maybe intentional, maybe the result of centuries of mythware. Either way, it feels rehearsed, like the earth has been waiting for this touch. Then, almost too slowly to notice, a green shoot pushes upward. The crowd leans forward as one. You can hear the slight rustle of bodies shifting against benches. The shoot stretches, curling upward, leaf by leaf, until it becomes a sapling, then a young tree. You swear the leaves shimmer like polished jade. Athena stands. She doesn't smile exactly, but something in her shoulders eases, like she knows the game is already won. The olive tree is, well, an olive tree. Not dramatic, not explosive, but it smells wonderful. Deep, green, comforting, like bread dipped in oil, and late summer afternoons. A young woman near the front presses her fingers to the bark. It feels cool, she whispers. A man with sunburnt hands picks an olive and sniffs it, then another. Oil, he murmurs. Light, cooking, medicine. That's the thing about Athena's gift. It's not just useful, it's everything. And yet, it's quiet. Olive trees grow slowly. They don't roar or gallop or crack the earth open, but they last. They endure. They're there when the gods move on and the temples crumble and generations forget how to pronounce palace. Athena steps back. She meets no one's gaze, yet somehow makes everyone feel seen. Then she turns not away from Poseidon's fissure, but past it, toward the horizon, where the hills melt into dark blue sea. You wonder what she sees. Some say the contest ended here, with the gifts laid bare. Others say the city's elders, perhaps led by King Cecrops, half man, half serpent, and full-time symbol of please don't ask for scientific accuracy, held a vote. One god's gift promised war horses and seafaring, the other promised agriculture, wisdom, and the possibility of olive-based moisturizers. The people chose Athena, and Poseidon, well, we'll get to that. But tonight isn't about winners and losers. It's about the strange quiet that comes after, the in-between. You walk up to the tree. Its trunk is slim but sturdy. You trace one finger along its bark, feeling the ridges like ancient handwriting. You don't know what it says, but you understand the rhythm. Somewhere behind you, a lyre begins to play. Just a simple melody. Probably someone's bored apprentice making their teacher proud for once. The tune floats across the plateau like mist. And here's a fun detail the myths often skip. Athena didn't just give a tree. She gave a symbol. In Greece, the olive wasn't just a food, it was a resource empire. Oil-lit homes, softened skin, cleaned wounds, and crowned champions. Olives were pressed, pickled, fermented, traded, worshipped. It was everything tucked into one gnarly little branch. Some scholars think this myth reflected a broader shift in Greek society, from raiding and seafaring to cultivation and law, a movement toward land-based power. Others suggest it's just clever political branding. Athena's cult needed a big win, and this origin story gave them a foothold in one of the most important city-states in the ancient world. Historians still argue whether this was a localized Athenian invention or a pan-Hellenic myth adopted and adapted for civic pride. You just know that tree smells amazing. The bark gives off a faint heat, as if the tree is remembering the sun. You sit with your back against it. The stone is cool now, and your body starts to feel heavier, more grounded. Across the plaza, someone's child is attempting to climb the divine horse. It doesn't go well. Their father tries to scold them, but gives up halfway through. There's laughter. Somewhere, a goat bleats. You're not watching gods anymore, just people. People beginning to believe in something new, not just in Athena, but in themselves, what they could become under her watchful gaze. She promised wisdom, yes, but also protection, strategy, the ability to think, to reason, to choose diplomacy over destruction, at least most of the time. And when wars did come, as they always do, Athena wasn't the god of bloodlust. She was the god of knowing where to place your shields, of planning, of not charging in without a map. The city that chose her would carry her name for millennia. You lean your head back against the bark and watch the stars again. It's later now, colder, but the tree feels warm at your spine. And somewhere deep in the roots, the city is already growing. The stars above you glitter like they've been freshly polished. Somewhere in the dark, an owl calls, soft, rhythmic, like a lullaby composed for ruins. You're still nestled against Athena's olive tree, but now the wind carries with it the whisper of beginnings. Not of gods anymore, but of mortals stepping carefully into a story bigger than they realize. Athens is not yet Athens. Not the marble-pillared city. Not the philosophical capital. Not the birthplace of democracy and Socratic sass. Right now, it's just a modest hilltop settlement, poked and prodded by two divinities and unsure what to do with the attention. The people, scattered and sun-wrinkled, are mostly farmers, shepherds, a few artisans. Nobody's built a forum or a school of rhetoric yet. The most exciting structure is probably a really sturdy goat pen. But the gift changes everything. The olive tree isn't just a plant, it's a promise, and promises need caretakers. Slowly, the people begin to gather around the tree. They start clearing the nearby land, carving terraces into the rocky soil. They build a stone circle around the roots, not too tight, but close enough to say, this is sacred, this is ours, this stays. You walk among them, unseen, like a guest or a shadow, or maybe just the breeze itself. Someone is explaining how to press olives with a stone weight. Someone else is calculating trade routes, estimating how long it would take for an amphora of oil to reach the coast and fetch a fair price. You hear words like harvest, storage, hearth. The excitement is quiet but electric. The tree becomes a meeting place. Disputes are settled beneath its branches, promises whispered, marriages arranged. A boy drops a small carved token at the base and runs off. No one asks him why, no one needs to, and then they build. Not palaces, not yet, but temples, small at first, then grander step by step. The people shape white stone, haul it up the hill, and chisel it into beauty. The earliest altars to Athena are crude, simple affairs, flat stones rubbed smooth by reverent hands. But over time, columns rise, statues take shape, a city begins to sketch itself upward around a tree. You step into the future and the landscape shifts. Now you see homes, tight clusters of sun-baked mud brick and stone, narrow lanes winding between them. Children chase dogs, women lean from windows calling out gossip like it's currency. Somewhere, a potter curses loudly at a cracked amphora. You duck instinctively, even though no one sees you. It's a living city, a loud, smelly, glorious jumble of ambition and olive oil. You reach a marketplace where vendors sell everything from woven sandals to bronze brooches shaped like, ironically, tridents. One merchant stall has tiny clay olive trees for tourists who don't yet exist. A group of old men argue loudly about whether Athena invented the bridle or just improved it. One insists she also made the flute, but was too embarrassed by the face it made her pull to keep playing it. Another claims she once turned herself into an owl to spy on a council meeting. Historians still argue whether these were actual beliefs or just temple-side gossip dressed up as mythology. But honestly, you kind of love that about ancient religion. It's not tidy, it's not polite, it's people trying to explain why their cousin's hairline receded or why goats act weird during eclipses. And sometimes it's about finding comfort in the idea that someone up there cares enough to gift you a tree or a horse or a way to store your olives through winter. Back at the Acropolis, the tree has grown taller, fuller. Its branches now reach wide enough to shade half the temple steps. It sheds small silvery leaves that scatter like blessings. The breeze stirs them into your lap. You lift one. It's delicate but strong, like Athena herself. The priests and priestesses of her temple keep the area spotless. They rake the soil around the roots. They burn offerings, usually not the good stuff, but enough to show respect. Olive cakes, honeyed wine, the occasional borrowed sheep. Children are taught to recite her epithets: Glaucopus, bright-eyed, Parthenos, virgin, Polias, protector of the city. They draw her in chalk, always with the helmet, always with the owl perched neatly on one shoulder. And yet, there's always the unspoken memory of that other gift, that horse, that fisher. Poseidon doesn't go away just because he lost. No, gods don't retire after a bad pitch. He lingers in the edges, storms that batter the coast, strange tides that pull fishermen too far from shore. Some say he cursed the city. Others say he merely sulked. In some versions of the myth, Poseidon flooded a chunk of Attica out of spite. You can still see the lowlands, soggy and uncertain, where rice wouldn't dare grow even now. Others say he took the loss graciously and just moved on to the next city-state like a disappointed salesman. You stretch your legs under the olive tree. Its bark is thicker now, rougher. You run a hand along its side and swear it hums, not loudly, just a soft, sleepy resonance, like it remembers everything and forgives most of it. From somewhere in the distance, you hear the beginning of a festival, laughter, flutes, the clatter of pottery, probably dropped again. You let your eyes drift shut. Athens is growing. The roots go deep. The leaves whisper stories even when no one is listening. And you're perfectly still beneath the oldest promise ever made by a goddess to a people. The morning sun creeps lazily over the hills surrounding the city you now know as Athens. You wake up beneath the olive tree, your limbs a little stiff, but your mind comfortably foggy, like the calm after a storm, or perhaps the moment right before one. The tree's leaves shimmer with dew, and the gentle rustle overhead is the soundtrack of a waking world. You rise and begin to stroll through the city that has taken root in Athena's shadow. The streets are narrow, worn smooth by countless feet, and the air is a patchwork of scents. Fresh bread baking in earthen ovens, the tang of sea salt carried by a distant breeze, and the faint, ever-present aroma of olive oil, peppery, rich, and slightly sweet. People greet each other with soft smiles and nods. There's a steady hum of daily life here. Fishermen unloading early morning catches, women preparing meals, and children chasing each other through the alleyways. The olive tree stands tall in the agora, its branches stretching wide like an ancient umbrella offering shade and comfort. You pause near a market stall where an elderly man sells small jars of oil, each carefully sealed and labeled. With simple drawings of olives and owls, he tells a tale as you approach, voice low and slow, about how olive oil was once used not only for cooking, but as an early form of sunscreen, and even as a hair treatment to keep the wild Mediterranean locks tame. You can almost imagine the scent of olive oil mingling with the salty sea air as ancient Athenians prepared for their days in the sun. Historians still debate whether the use of olive oil in daily grooming was widespread or limited to the elite, but it's clear the resource was treasured across all classes. Some say that the olive tree was the city's quiet secret weapon, a kind of ancient multi-tool that kept people nourished, clean, and well prepared for life's unpredictable turns. Nearby, a group of children play a game inspired by the myth itself, pretending to be gods offering gifts to the city. One acts as Poseidon, wielding a stick as a trident, while another plays Athena, brandishing an imaginary spear and shield. Their laughter is infectious and light, cutting through the early morning calm like a welcome breeze. You watch them for a moment, and it strikes you how myths are not just stories to be told. They are living things, breathed into life by every generation who remembers them. And each time they are retold, they grow, change, and root deeper into the soil of culture. As you continue your walk, you pass a small shrine dedicated to Athena. It's modest, made of stone, and adorned with olive branches and small tokens left by worshippers. Pieces of pottery, woven bracelets, even scraps of parchment with prayers or thanks. The shrine smells faintly of burning resin and fresh olive leaves. You crouch beside it and feel a connection, not just to the goddess, but to every person who has paused here before you, seeking guidance, protection, or simply a moment of peace. The olive tree's shadow lengthens as the sun climbs higher, and you realize that this quiet, leafy sentinel has witnessed centuries of human joy and hardship. It's been a silent participant in celebrations and conflicts, a steady companion through droughts and bountiful harvests alike. And though Athena's gift was simple, a tree, it became a symbol of endurance and hope, a reminder that even in a world ruled by unpredictable gods and shifting fortunes, some things could be counted on to grow, nourish, and inspire. You take a deep breath, letting the olive-scented air fill your lungs, and find yourself feeling a little more grounded, a little more part of this ancient story that still whispers through the leaves. The sun's warmth settles softly on your skin as you wander further into the life of ancient Athens, still cradled by the shade of Athena's olive tree. You find yourself drawn to the rituals that pulse quietly through the city's heart, the everyday acts of devotion that bind people to their goddess and to each other. Today, the town prepares for a festival unlike any other, a gentle celebration called the Panathenæa, honoring Athena herself. It's not the grand gladiatorial spectacle you might imagine, but rather a peaceful procession of song, dance, and offerings, winding its way through streets alive with the scent of roasted barley and freshly cut herbs. You slip among the crowds, feeling the cool stone under your feet and hearing the soft rustle of robes brushing against cobbles. The women wear wreaths woven from olive leaves, their laughter mingling with the delicate strum of lyres played by youthful musicians. The air feels alive but not overwhelming, a serene chorus of human life in tune with the steady heartbeat of the city. At the front of the procession is a carefully embroidered peplos, a richly decorated robe that will be draped over Athena's ancient statue later that evening. The peplos is crafted by the city's finest weavers, their hands steady and precise as they intertwine patterns of olive branches and owls, symbols both sacred and reassuring. You overhear an old storyteller explaining that the weaving of the peplos is more than artistry. It is a kind of prayer, each stitch a silent plea for protection and prosperity. Historians still argue whether the original Panathenæa was a humble farmers' festival or an elaborate state-sponsored event designed to showcase Athenian power. But what remains clear is its importance in weaving community together. Near the temple, you notice an unusual tradition. Young boys and girls release small birds as a symbol of peace and hope. The birds flap uncertainly, rising into the air as if carrying whispered prayers to the sky. One child giggles when a particularly bold dove circles back and lands on her shoulder, and you can't help but smile at the simple joy. The festival moves gently on, winding toward the Acropolis where the massive statue of Athena Polius waits, its serene gaze cast down over the city. The peplos is lifted carefully, draped with reverence, and the crowd settles into a hush, broken only by the soft, rhythmic chant of prayers. You feel a quiet awe. This isn't just a show of devotion, it's a ritual threading time itself, binding past, present, and future in a delicate olive-scented tapestry. Nearby, a group of elders debate whether the olive tree's sacredness predates the city or if it was Athena's gift that sparked its reverence. Some whisper of ancient earth spirits, others insist it's purely divine favor. The truth seems lost in the haze of time, but the mystery adds to the tree's quiet majesty. As twilight deepens, torches flicker to life, casting dancing shadows that play across the temple walls. The city seems to exhale, a long, slow breath of contentment and connection. You settle beneath the olive tree once more, its leaves murmuring lullabies you didn't know you needed. The festival's warmth wraps around you like a soft cloak, and you feel the pulse of Athens, the heartbeat of a city forever tied to a goddess, a tree, and the stories they inspire. The soft glow of dawn filters through olive leaves as you wander past the temple, the scent of incense still lingering like a whisper. The festival has ended, but the city hums with a quieter kind of energy now, a rhythm of daily life that carries on beneath the gaze of Athena's statue and the steady watch of the olive tree. You find yourself drawn to the artisan's quarter, where the scent of wet clay mingles with the earthy aroma of olive oil lamps burning low in shadowed workshops. Here, skilled hands shape the raw materials of the earth into objects both practical and beautiful. Potters spin their wheels with calm precision, their fingers steady as they coax vessels from the stubborn clay, while sculptors chip away at marble blocks, slowly revealing the forms of gods, heroes, and of course, owls. One potter tells you, in a voice low and slow, that olive oil was often mixed with fine powders to create an early form of cosmetic used to soften skin and even brighten the complexion. You imagine the ancient Athenians applying this humble concoction before stepping out into the sun, their faces shining with natural glow. No Instagram filter needed. Historians still argue whether these beauty rituals were widely practiced or reserved for the wealthy elite, but either way, the connection between olive oil and daily life is unmistakable. It's in the lamps that light homes, the soaps that clean bodies, and the rich oils that flavor food. As you move through the marketplace, you overhear a storyteller spinning a tale about Athena's birth, how she sprang fully formed and armored from the head of Zeus, startling even the gods with her sudden arrival. The story feels alive here, told with gentle humor and the kind of detail that makes you almost believe you can hear the crackle of Zeus's headache or the sharp click of Athena's spear striking a shield. Nearby, children play quietly under the shade of the olive tree, weaving small crowns from fallen leaves and laughing softly as they try them on. Their game mirrors the myths you've heard, a gentle reminder that stories are living threads, passed from one generation to the next. You pause by a small altar where offerings of bread, honey, and olives lie untouched, left by worshippers seeking Athena's favor for the day ahead. The air here feels thick with gratitude and hope, an unspoken pact between mortals and goddess. The city around you breathes in time with the tree, steady, enduring, rooted in the soil of history and myth. As the sun climbs higher, you settle into a quiet corner and let the gentle hum of daily life wash over you, a lullaby woven from the soft sounds of a city both ancient and eternal. The afternoon light filters through the olive branches, casting playful shadows that sway gently with the breeze. You wander toward the city's outskirts, where the rocky hills begin their slow rise, dotted with groves of olive trees stretching far beyond the city limits. Here, the ancient connection between the land, its people, and Athena's gift feels most tangible. You imagine the olive harvest, a season marked by quiet labor and gentle celebration. Farmers, their hands worn and skilled, move carefully beneath the branches, their wicker baskets catching the small round fruits as they fall. The smell of crushed olives mingles with the dry earth and the salty tang of the nearby sea. One farmer tells you that in addition to food and oil, the wood from olive trees was prized for crafting durable tools and furniture, long-lasting and imbued with a certain sacredness. It's a humble reminder that even the smallest gift can shape a culture in unexpected ways. Historians still debate whether olive cultivation spread first from the eastern Mediterranean or developed independently in multiple regions. But there's no question it became a cornerstone of ancient economies and diets alike. The olive tree was not just a plant, it was a partner in survival. Nearby, you notice a simple stone altar, weathered by time, but still carefully maintained. It's dedicated to Athena, a quiet thank you from farmers who understood the divine nature of their livelihood. The altar is adorned with small, hand-carved olive leaves and tiny ceramic vessels filled with fresh oil, a sacred exchange between earth and spirit. You pause to watch a group of women singing soft, repetitive songs as they work, their voices rising and falling like the waves beyond the hills. Their songs tell stories of the city's founding, of Athena's contest with Poseidon, and the gifts that shaped their world. The melodies are gentle and soothing, almost hypnotic, and you find yourself breathing slower, your thoughts drifting like leaves on a calm stream. As evening approaches, the harvesters gather to share a modest meal, bread dipped in olive oil, fresh figs, and goat cheese. The simplicity of the food feels profound, a quiet celebration of life's essentials. You imagine how these flavors and moments have traveled through time, connecting you to countless others who have sat beneath olive trees, sharing stories and sustenance. In the fading light, the silhouette of the olive tree stands strong against the darkening sky, a silent guardian watching over the city and its people. It's a reminder that some gifts, though small and seemingly ordinary, can grow into legacies that outlast even the gods themselves. You take a deep breath, the rich scent of olives and earth filling your senses, and feel a deep calm settling over you, as steady and enduring as the tree itself. The night descends softly over Athens and the city slows into a hushed lull. You find yourself drawn back toward the heart of the city, where the olive tree's shadow now stretches long and quiet beneath the silver light of the moon. There is a stillness here that feels sacred, as if the very air holds its breath in reverence. You imagine the nocturnal world of ancient Athens, a time when the flicker of oil lamps and the distant call of owls punctuated the darkness. The owl, Athena's symbol, is said to see clearly through the night's mysteries, a guide for those who wander both literally and metaphorically in shadow. You might almost hear the soft hoot echoing through the olive branches, a gentle reminder that wisdom often comes cloaked in silence. Locals believe the olive tree itself holds a quiet magic, a kind of guardian spirit watching over the city's dreams. Some whisper tales of how the tree's roots stretch deep into the earth, connecting to hidden springs and unseen realms. While historians still debate the extent to which ancient Greeks practiced animism, the reverence for natural symbols like the olive tree is undeniable. You stroll past quiet homes where the scent of olive oil mingles with the fading aroma of evening meals. The lamps flicker softly, casting a warm glow that dances on walls and doorways. You pause by a window where a family shares stories by firelight, their voices low and gentle, carrying the timeless rhythm of human connection. It's easy to imagine how these nightly rituals soothed weary bodies and minds, how the simple act of gathering around warmth and light helped stitch the fabric of community tight. You remember that earlier tale of olive oil used as a balm not just for the body but perhaps for the soul. As you settle beneath the olive tree one last time tonight, the leaves whisper softly above you, stirred by a cool evening breeze. You feel the steady pulse of history beneath your fingertips and the quiet promise that some stories, like this one, never truly end. They simply wait for the next listener. The city breathes around you, calm and eternal, and you drift closer to sleep, cradled by ancient branches and timeless myths. The first light of dawn spills gently over the hills once more, casting a golden glow across the city you've come to know so well. You find yourself walking through quiet streets now awakening, the soft murmur of footsteps and distant chatter marking the start of another day beneath Athena's watchful gaze. Your steps lead you toward the city's ancient olive groves, where the trees stretch their gnarled limbs toward the sky like silent sentinels. The scent of crushed leaves and earth fills the air, a heady perfume that seems to breathe life into every corner of Athens. Here, the olive tree is more than a symbol. It's the backbone of the city's economy and culture. The oil pressed from its fruit fuels lamps that light homes and temples, flavors the simple meals of farmers and aristocrats alike, and anoints athletes preparing for sacred games. You imagine the bustling presses where olives are crushed between stone wheels, their golden juice trickling down into waiting jars. Interestingly, the process of olive oil production was so central that it even shaped laws and customs. For example, the city regulated who could own olive groves, understanding that control over this precious resource meant influence. Historians still argue about how much power these olive estates conferred and whether their wealth fueled political shifts in early Athens. Nearby, a group of elderly men sit beneath the branches, sharing stories peppered with dry wit and gentle teasing. One recounts a curious legend that Athena once gifted a secret recipe for a soothing ointment made from olives and herbs to a favored healer, a concoction said to ease aches and calm troubled minds. You smile at the thought, an ancient spa treatment perhaps, long before your modern night creams. As you listen, you notice how deeply woven the olive tree is into every facet of life here. It's not just a plant, but a companion, steady, nourishing, and endlessly generous. Walking back toward the city, you pass through the bustling agora, where vendors display olives in every stage, fresh, cured, and pressed. The market buzzes with a comforting energy, a hum of barter, and friendly chatter that feels as old as the city itself. You pause, breathing in the familiar scent of olives and sun-warmed stone, and find yourself settling into a quiet calm. The olive tree's story, with all its twists and roots, has become part of your own evening rhythm. The sun now high, you find yourself lingering near the Acropolis, where the marble gleams bright and the ancient olive tree casts a welcoming shade. You watch as a quiet crowd gathers for a less festive, more contemplative ritual, a moment to honor Athena's wisdom through the recitation of her stories. A soft-voiced elder begins to recount the myth of Athena and Arachne, weaving a tale of talent, pride, and transformation that feels almost like a bedtime story. You imagine the thread of the narrative winding through the room, delicate and strong, much like the threads in the legendary weaving contest itself. Interestingly, some scholars still debate whether the story was meant as a caution against hubris or as a subtle celebration of artistic skill. You find this ambiguity oddly comforting, a reminder that myths often serve many purposes at once, much like the olive tree, both practical and symbolic. Nearby, you catch the faint aroma of roasted chickpeas and honey, traditional offerings that mingle with the earthy scent of olive wood burning gently in small hearths. The people around you speak in hushed tones, their voices blending with the soft rustle of leaves above. One storyteller shares a quirky tidbit. Olive oil was sometimes used to clean armor and even as a mild disinfectant, a handy fact that paints Athena's gift in a whole new light as a source not only of nourishment, but also of protection. As you listen, you can't help but smile at the thought of ancient warriors rubbing olive oil onto their helmets, hopeful it might ward off more than just rust. The connection between the goddess of wisdom and practical everyday uses feels seamless, a natural harmony. The crowd begins to disperse, leaving you alone beneath the tree once more. The city feels alive yet calm, a place where stories like olive branches reach out to connect past and present. You settle back, letting the gentle rustle of leaves and distant voices lull you deeper into the ancient world, the story of Athena's gift lingering like a soft melody. The afternoon sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows that stretch across the stone streets of Athens. You find yourself wandering near the city's olive presses again, curious about the deeper craftsmanship behind Athena's gift. The rhythmic creak of the heavy wooden beams and the occasional splash of olive oil create a soothing background hum like an ancient lullaby. You learn that the process was both art and science. Olives were crushed and pressed using large stone wheels powered by animals or slaves, their slow rotations extracting precious oil. The oil was then filtered through cloth and stored in ceramic amphorae, carefully sealed to preserve its purity. You almost feel the cool, silky texture of fresh olive oil on your skin, a small luxury even in ancient times. Interestingly, you discover that in some regions, the leftover olive paste was used as a beauty mask, while in others, it served as a base for medicinal balms. It seems the olive tree's generosity extended beyond food, threading itself through rituals of self-care and healing. Historians still argue about the extent to which olive oil was exported versus consumed locally, but one thing is clear, it was a commodity that connected Athens to far-flung corners of the Mediterranean, a silent ambassador of culture and taste. Nearby, you spot a small group of children experimenting with olive branches, weaving them into makeshift crowns. You can almost hear the gentle laughter, the soft scrape of fingers weaving leaves, an innocent game echoing centuries-old traditions. As the light softens, a gentle breeze carries the mingled scents of crushed olives, drying herbs, and faint incense. You imagine the city at this hour, a place where myth and reality blend in quiet harmony. The olive tree stands tall, its branches heavy with fruit and history. You breathe in deeply, feeling a serene connection to a world that is both distant and surprisingly close. The sun dips lower and you begin to drift, the rhythm of the olive presses and the soft murmur of the city guiding you toward rest. The city begins to settle under a cooling twilight, and you find yourself wandering near the Agora, where the bustling heart of Athens beats gently even as evening approaches. Stalls once filled with chatter and clatter are now quieter, with vendors carefully packing away goods or sharing soft-spoken stories about their day. You stop beside a stall displaying jars of olives cured in different ways, brined, sun-dried, and even smoked, each variety carrying a subtle difference in flavor and texture. A vendor explains with a slow smile that olives were considered so valuable they were sometimes used as currency or given as prizes in athletic contests. A curious fact that adds a playful twist to your peaceful evening. Historians still debate the exact origins of some curing techniques, with some suggesting influences from distant Phoenician traders, while others argue for homegrown innovations. Either way, these methods helped preserve olives through long winters and made them a staple in Athenian diets. Nearby, a group of musicians softly strums a lyre, their melody weaving through the air like a gentle stream. Their music carries old songs, some praising Athena's wisdom, others celebrating the humble olive tree's gifts. You can almost picture the city's residents gathering here after dark, sharing stories, music, and food under the watchful eyes of ancient gods. A curious elder shares a tale about how olive oil was sometimes used in rituals to anoint newborns, a practice meant to bless and protect the young. It's a quiet reminder of how deeply the olive's symbolism is intertwined with life's milestones. As you stroll through the cooling streets, the scent of olive oil mingles with blooming jasmine and fresh bread, creating a sensory tapestry that feels both timeless and tender. The city's pulse slows, and you find a quiet bench beneath an ancient olive tree, its branches reaching wide and welcoming. You settle in, letting the soft sounds and scents lull you further into the gentle embrace of night. The night deepens, and the city's usual chatter fades into a soft murmur, replaced by the gentle rustling of olive leaves in the evening breeze. You wander toward the Temple of Athena, where flickering oil lamps cast a warm glow on the marble columns, illuminating the sacred space dedicated to the city's patron goddess. Here you imagine the quiet rituals performed by priests and priestesses, small offerings of olive oil poured into bronze vessels, whispered prayers for wisdom, peace, and prosperity. The scent of the oil mingles with incense, creating a calming atmosphere that feels both ancient and intimate. You learn that olive oil was not only used in sacred rites, but also in athletic contests, where competitors anointed their bodies to protect skin and soothe muscles. The connection between physical strength and divine favor is palpable in the city where gods and mortals walk close. A quirky detail surfaces. Some athletes believe that olive oil could absorb bad vibes, perhaps an ancient form of positive thinking. Historians still debate how widespread such beliefs were, but the idea adds a touch of whimsy to the serious world of competition. Nearby, a lone owl hoots softly from its perch among the olive branches, a living symbol of Athena's watchfulness. The bird's eyes gleam in the lamplight, and you feel a comforting presence, as if wisdom itself is guarding the night. You settle down beneath the olive tree once more, its rough bark cool against your back. The city breathes quietly around you, a world shaped by stories, rituals, and a tree that remains steadfast through centuries of change. As your eyes grow heavy, you reflect on the gentle, enduring gift Athena bestowed, a symbol of peace, prosperity, and quiet strength, perfect for easing restless minds into sleep. The night deepens into a velvet calm as the city's heartbeat slows, and you feel the weight of centuries pressing gently against your senses. Beneath a sprawling olive tree, you sense the quiet continuity of life itself, how every leaf, every branch holds a fragment of time, a whisper of stories told and retold under starlit skies. You think back to the fierce contest between Athena and Poseidon, a myth that shaped the very identity of a city and its people. The olive tree, born from Athena's clever gift, became more than a symbol. It was a foundation for culture, economy, and spiritual life. It grew roots deep into the earth, just as the city grew into the heart of ancient Greece. Scholars still ponder whether the myth was crafted to explain a historical rivalry or simply to offer a moral about wisdom and humility. You smile at the thought. Myths are like lullabies sung by time itself, soothing us with stories that hold as many questions as answers. As you close your eyes, you recall the gentle sounds you've wandered through, the hum of presses, the rustling leaves, the soft hoot of owls, and feel yourself drifting into a restful embrace. The olive tree stands tall in your mind's eye, a quiet guardian of sleep and dreams. Now, as you sink deeper into rest, know that this ancient story, told in soft tones and gentle pauses, carries you into a world where time slows and peace reigns. You are wrapped in the calm wisdom of Athena's gift, ready to float gently into sleep. The city quiets completely, and your breathing slows. The soft rustle of olive leaves fades into a whisper. Let your thoughts grow slow, gentle, and light. Imagine the peaceful night, the steady pulse of ancient stories woven through time like the branches above you. Feel the weight of the day lift away, replaced by calm and ease. Let your mind rest, held safe by the steady roots of myth and memory. Sleep well, and may your dreams be as gentle as the olive tree's sway. End of script. Sweet dreams.